Hey, what's going on, everybody? I hope everybody having a wonderful day today. I want to talk to you guys about a conversation I had that led me to deeper thoughts that I had with one of my brother's neighbors. We were talking about um, cats and dogs coexisting with each other, and she had made the remark about how it was an experience where this cat and older dog was not really getting along with each other, and I told her about how I wanted to own a puppy and a kitten and watch them grow up together. You know what I mean? Because if they're babies and they grow up in environments where they are not um, aware of other external things, then they won't have any perceived um, ideas or ideologies, right? So using that as an example for people or humans, so to speak, let's say if we had a social experiment where we put, I don't believe in race, like other than the human race. Let's say if we had a social experiment where we have, blacks, whites, Indians, Asians, Europeans, you know, people from Ecuador, it doesn't matter where they're from. The fact of the matter is, if we had the social experiment where we put these babies in a controlled environment, right, and we watched them grow up, and we saw how they all wouldn't have these big differences while growing up, that experience, other than obviously color, they would grow up, obviously conditioned, but pretty normal, you know. First of all, what is normal? It's just the fact that when we understand that most of the environments that we go through or live in, they are designed, right? And a lot of times we are getting upset with the victims of the designed environments instead of looking at the designer, right? Because going back to cats and dogs, there's a stigma where cats don't like dogs don't like cats, whatever. But if they're both grown from the same crop, they will learn to empathize with one another. They will love to enjoy the other's presence, right? But if they are grown and they are raised and they're not around each other, or they're not familiar with each other's backgrounds or journeys, then they will learn to, I wouldn't even say like, they would just wouldn't be, they will learn not to be aware of the things that other thing had to go through on his journey, right? And bring that back into, humans. There's a lot of things that we all go through in life, regardless of what ethnic race that man puts us in, because we're all are human. It's just the fact that these designed, controlled environments pushes us further away from each other, right? So without these designed and controlled environments, right, we would be a lot closer, right? At some point in history, right, we were separated, right? If we think a little deeper behind that, at some point we were separated, right? Who knows? I don't know, right? That's some stuff that we all can be able to look at. But the fact that if we understand that instead of getting upset with the victim, we can look at the designer of the environment, and have the, like I say, the empathy to understand that, the victim isn't really at fault. They can be able to get out of the situation, true, but it's not the root of the external things that we might see with the naked eye, right? So that's one thing we can be able to learn from, be aware of, and obviously, we can be able to grow and understand that it's a lot of stuff that we all go through, and life is difficult. It's difficult, but understanding that none of us are above or below anyone, right? We all are human at the end of the day, regardless of what color you might see on the outside, the external vessel. But on the inside, we all have the same organs, same veins, right? Just different mindsets, different views, focal points. But we all are of one because we all are one. So bringing that back full circle, like I said, we was talking about that and how differences of cats and dogs, and we was talking about, we believe that, we all could be able to live in a world that's full of differences and be able to come together as one. It's just the fact that we all have to, sacrifice some personal things that we learned along the way, being that controlled environment, and understand and be more empathetic of things that are outside of us that we are not aware of, and become aware of, and understanding that we only know things of the environment that we were raised in. So we have to be able to get outside of that, lower the ego, and be open and willing to learn from others, because we don't know everything, but we can get to know someone or others or other things, right? Let me know what y'all think about that.